Dear friends, it's day 964 of the Russian disastrous invasion of Ukraine. The invaders lost a jet fighter in a dogfight with the Ukrainian F-16, another Russian aircraft reported burned on the ground, and a new Ukrainian counteroffensive. How will it look like? This is the Frontline Focus, and we will talk about the most recent updates right now. Friends, today there will be no reports on the Shahed strikes on Ukraine. For the first time in 48 days, the Russian invaders haven't launched the Iranian kamikaze drones against the Ukrainian cities. Yesterday, monitoring channels reported that approximately 14 Russian strategic bombers were loaded and prepared for the new strike on the Ukrainian cities. That's why the Ukrainian air defense didn't have much time to rest tonight, but it turned out to be the first peaceful night in 1.5 months. On the other hand, this can allow Russians concentrate bigger amount of drones for the next strike that will most probably happen really soon, in combination with the massive missile strike like they often do since winter of 2022. Luckily, Terrorist Federation keeps losing more and more airplanes. Yesterday, the General Intelligence Directorate of Ukraine reported that a Russian Tu-134 located at the Russian airbase Orenburg had a close rendezvous with the Ukrainian Cotton Cutie and burned. Tu-134 are those big passenger and cargo airplanes often used to transport Russian command. Unfortunately, no Shoigu or Putins were reported on board, but nonetheless, it's a good case. Also, it seems like we have some of the very first cases of the Russian aircraft being intercepted by the new American jet fighters received from the Western allies of Ukraine. In particular, Russian fighter bomber Su-34 has been reportedly shot down by the Ukrainian F-16. According to the Institute for the Study of War, the Russian fighter bomber was dropping bombs approximately 50 kilometers away from the front line when the Ukrainian F-16 jet fighter performed successful interception of the terrorist aircraft. This was also confirmed by several Russian sources monitoring the situation on the front lines, and though Russian sources generally can't be considered trustworthy, but this very fact looks legit. We have no details whether the Russian pilots managed to eject out of their aircraft. Personally, I hope they managed to eject out of this reality and become better. Despite the fact that F-16 is considered relatively aged aircraft, it's still pretty much capable interceptor, and we're closely monitoring the updates on the possibility of receiving new aircraft for the armed forces of Ukraine. And receiving new aircraft may signalize the coming of the second Ukrainian counteroffensive. How will it look like? The Ukrainian analytics talk about three key issues in regards to the next counteroffensive. First is, of course, prevailing number of the Russian manpower. It is considered that in 2025 the Russian invaders are preparing to grind more of their citizens in the useless meat assaults due to the depleting vehicles. As of today, the Terrorist Federation lost the core of its tank forces, armored vehicles, and cargo transport. Whatever is brought from their storages must be refurbished and repaired. Due to this fact, in 2025 we will see bigger concentration of the Russian infantry on the battlefield. Second issue that is currently faced by the Ukrainian armed forces is the tactical Russian aviation with its constantly developing arsenal of gliding munitions. It is anticipated that integrating a solid fuel booster into a Russian gliding bomb can dramatically increase its range, which means that at times they can also supplant the depleting Russian artillery units. This will bring new challenges to the Ukrainian defenders because such weapons are extremely effective when it comes to the static front line full of stationary targets that can be hit with such weapons. And speaking of artillery, this is the final issue discussed by the analytics because the problem of having enough artillery and shells was always crucial for the Ukrainian defenders. Even despite such a wide range of utilizing drones, it is still impossible to completely supplant artillery with FPV or other drones on tactical or operational level. Reason number one is, of course, Russian radio electronic warfare equipment, and reason number two is the weather. let alone range. There's a lot of situations when good old unguided shells falling down on Russians, just like the Russian economy, is much better and effective. As an example of an effective warfare against Russians, the experts often refer to the Kursk operation because Russians have a lot of experience in effectively utilizing their resources when they have a stable front line, especially since they have prevailing number of personnel. At the same time, in Kursk, they were completely hopeless, and the reason for that is because NATO troops are really good at sowing chaos on the battlefield. And this is exactly what the Ukrainian army learned from them back in the days. For example, back in 2016, this was something that my brigade, the Rubish of Hostomel, was learning from our foreign friends. In summer last year, it became a really tough task to break through the first line of the Russian defense, considering fortifications and minefields. But since Russian resources keep depleting, most probably it will become possible in the future. In the end, NATO is approximately 40 times wealthier than the destitute federation and can allow supporting Ukraine with everything necessary. The biggest question is motivation, of course, or I would rephrase that. How much do American and European parents want their children to speak Russian, like the Ukrainian kids on the occupied territories? I think only the time will tell. With that, my friends, I wish you all a beautiful day. Please leave your commentaries. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.